Okay, so this is my annotation of Mad Girls Love Song by Sylvia Plath. I'm going to read through it first, and then I will get to annotating and analyzing it with you. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I lift my lids, and all is born again. I think I made you up inside my head. The stars go waltzing out in blue and red, and arbitrary blackness gallops in. I shut my eyes, and all the worlds drop dead. I dream that you bewitched me into bed, and sung me moonstruck, kissed me quite insane. I think I made you up inside my head. God topples from the sky, hell's fires fade. Exit seraphim and Satan's men. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I fancied you'd return the way you said, but I grow old and I forget your name. I think I made you up inside my head. I should have loved a thunderbird instead. At least when spring comes, they roar back again. I shut my eyes, and all the world drops dead. I think I made you up inside my head. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the title. When you read this, you might think Mad Girls Love Song like she's angry, but it's actually referring to mad as in like insanity. And so many people wonder if Sylvia Plath is really writing this as herself because, as we know, she struggled a lot with depression and intense feelings of being isolated from others. I think what's cool is, so Love Song, right? She puts the entire poem in quotes, sort of like it's a song, all right? Or you can look at it like she's directing it directly at this you person, okay? Which is her former lover. That's who she's addressing the whole poem. So the first stanza, she says, I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. We see some alliteration here, also known as consonants. All right, when we're talking about these letters, drops dead. That really just makes you think of like a thud, right? Like it's really intense, dropping dead. But when she shuts her eyes, she doesn't really mean the world dies. What does she mean? She means that everything disappears, right? Gone. Everything's gone. It's black. All right. So again, this is immediately telling us that she's isolated from the world, right? From her problems. I lift my lids and all is born again. Okay. So when her eyes open, she's back. So she knows that she has the power, or thinks she has the power, to control what she's seeing, right? And then she has this in parentheses, I think I made you up inside my head. This is kind of bringing the idea of whether this is real at all, okay? And we can talk about literally and figuratively. So is she saying the experience was real? Is she saying was the love real? Okay? She's kind of blurring the line between reality and imagination throughout this entire time, which, if you think about it, goes back with our mad title, right? Because, people who struggle with different types of mental illnesses will sometimes have hallucinations. So she's wondering if she hallucinated this entire thing. The second stanza, I'll change here. It says, the stars go waltzing out in blue and red. So we see a little bit of personification here. The stars go waltzing. All right. Waltzing sort of gives it like this fancy facade. All right. So the stars are dancing, right? Seems positive. But then it says out, meaning like out of her sight. Okay. At this point, you then have to think about, well, what do stars represent? All right. Think about stars archetypically. All right. Stars are used for navigation. Right. They sometimes symbolize hope. So I think in these lines, she's saying that the stars are dancing. Everything is going black. She doesn't know where she's going anymore. All hope is going away, right? And that is emphasized, and we know that we are right in this thinking because it says blackness gallops in. Gallops kind of gives it the idea of like a powerful horse, right? Or a stallion, I kind of think of it like. So this black stallion is galloping in. And then she repeats, all right, what she started the poem with. I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. So she's again saying she closes her eyes and everything disappears. She isolates herself from the problem and the problem is gone. The problem being that, her love has gone. The third stanza, I dreamed that you bewitched me into bed. Again, this idea of saying dreamed goes along with the think here. She's wanting us to constantly question whether this was real or not. But also, she could be saying she had specifically a dream. And then when we get to like bewitched, okay, we're thinking about like tricked. So she could be saying literally this love tricked her into getting into bed with him, but also like into bed could just mean like being together, okay? So she feels like she was tricked into being together. He sung me moonstruck, kissed me quite insane. So he said what she wanted to hear, all right? Kissed her, and then she went insane. Okay, she means that in two ways, like meaning she loved it, right? Like, oh my gosh, I'm insane over this thing. And that she has now gone mad because of it, right? And then she again says, I think I made you up inside my head. So she keeps, it's in parentheses because to me, it's like she's saying to herself, like, I don't know if this is real or not, okay? She could be talking about the person. She could be talking about the experience. That's what you have to remember about poetry. A lot of it is based on the reader's lens. So what are you going through right now in your life that you look at this poem through that specific lens, okay? God topples from the sky, hell's fire fades. All right, this is where she starts to mix religion with reality too. Exit seraphim. All right, that's referring to an angels. And Satan's men. Okay, so demons. Again, I don't know if you remember, or you should, right? When we have two opposites, right? So these are antithesis. And she's saying angels and demons are leaving. So she's basically saying the world is being destroyed. I know that seems like a little excessive for these two lines, but that's what she's saying, right? Sylvia Plath was a very dark, kind of in her feelings kind of person, okay, if that makes sense. So she says, God is falling from the sky, hell is disappearing, angels and demons are gone, and then again, I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. So again, when she closes her eyes, everything is gone. All right, fancied can mean a couple things. It can mean like, but in this case, it means what she thought or believed, okay? So she believed he would come back. He said he would return. But I grow old and forget your name. All right, so she's saying, you've been gone a long time. So she's starting to think that he was a liar, right? Which goes back to this bewitched idea. I think I made you up inside my head. So she's trying to, like, look how many times. So far she said it 1, 2, 3 times. So she's trying to convince herself that she's not crazy. And that she's made this person up and it's not really what's hurting her, okay? This last stanza is interesting, okay? We have an allusion to mythology. So she said, I should have loved a thunderbird instead. Okay, that's interesting because a thunderbird is a mythological character, okay? It's pretend, all right? It's like a unicorn, okay? So she said she would be better off loving a pretend animal than loving him. Haha. All right, what a diss. I should have loved a thunderbird instead. At least when spring comes, they roar back again. So she's saying he's not coming back. He, put it in quotes because we don't know who this he is. I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. So again, I shut my eyes. This is making us know that she feels somewhat in control physically, right? But then we say again, I think I made you up. This is out of control mentally. So a lot of antithesis, a lot of opposites in here. We have light and dark. We have good and evil, control and out of control. It's kind of this idea that we really don't know where she stands with this, and she doesn't either. Okay. So there's a couple overall ideas about what this could be about. Okay. We know it's about love. Why can't I spell? All right. So love, you could say love makes you do crazy things. She also could potentially be saying love is not always reality. Okay. Because she's constantly questioning her love for this person. All right, I'm going to go ahead and one more time. I already pointed these out, but point out a couple literary devices to you. Okay. So we already talked about alliteration and consonants here. We talk about personification here. All right, again, with the blackness galloping in. We have some illusions here. We have God. We have angels and demons. All right, even hell. So like in this entire stanza, this is a religious illusion, talking about the afterlife, things like that. Obvious metaphors or really hyperbole, right? But I grow old and forget your name. She's not like actually growing older and forgetting his name. She's just saying like he's been gone a long time, right? And then another allusion to Greek mythology with the Thunderbird. We have the idea of a repetition and refrain. Okay, so you should go back and look again at what the difference between those are. But she's constantly repeating, I think I made you up inside my head, and I shut my eyes and all the world drops dead. Overall, a pretty deep poem. We could talk a lot more about it. So if you come back in person, we can get there. But if you want to look up more about this poem, you definitely should, and her history. I'm putting it out there that she has a pretty dark past. So forewarning before you look at her. But if you decide to end up doing your project about her, you might look into this more. So that is my annotation and analysis of Mad Girl's Love Song.